how does it work? Who kicks it off? Is it the host?
I don't know. I do know people.
I feel like you do know.
No. Well, I only I've never been to one.
There was a blink. There was a blink of like it was either I know and I don't want to say, or I just don't want to say. Come on. Let's. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to James and Flav. For now, I'm so excited about this podcast because the comments have never been fresher, have never been funnier, and you can see, I mean, Allcott has puffy eyes at the best of times, but they are super puffy because I've been crying with laughter at the comments. What?
Don't say that about yourself.
Do you know what? In these troubling times of 2023, where you're not sure what you can say, I thought there was something wrong with me saying the word puffy. I'm on edge. I'm on edge all the time. On edge all the bloody time. So much to get through. We're going to talk about Spurs because they won a football match. And then after that, probably minimal football chat. I warn you now because so many good comments. We will be heading over to I Once Met with a bit of fan fiction. Only Men Know is unbelievable this week. Things you did as a kid may quite possibly be, that might be the title of this podcast. It's that good. But just to be safe, we'll have a bit of football chat. And we've got Elite Sledging, which is a new bit, Flav, which could be good, I think. A bit of cricket chat.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
And probably the best two slugs in the world I've ever, and one in particular is the best slugs in the world ever. So we will finish on that. We are doing this live on Patreon right now. If you want premium content, and I use that word specifically, premium content.
Oh, yes.
Head over to Patreon for a bit of premium stuff for less than a London pint. There was an exclusive, wasn't there, this week? It's just premium, isn't it? Just sort of
fucking good.
Like you think this podcast, by the end of this, you go, God, that podcast was good. Just take it up a notch.
Do I want some premium? Do I want to be good or do I want to be premium?
Yeah, up to you. Yeah, exactly. That's the question we're starting this podcast with. That's what we're asking. Do you want to? Are you content, or would you like to be premium?
And if there's two things you need to do, you need to obviously head over to Patreon and sign up, and get the premium content. But you also need to go to the comments below and go, I want to be premium. Yeah, that's all I want to see down below.
Yeah, as a little couple of hooks actually. One is an incredible. There was an incredible exclusive on the mailbag this week, wasn't there? That people won't be aware of. Well, I don't want to reveal it because it's premium content, love.
Well, give us a clue because I can't remember.
Instagram. My Instagram.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You've been stalked by high-profile...
high-flying football people. Okay. So, yeah, if you want premium content. Also, if you sign up this week, let's say, I've got about, how many? I've got like 3 or 4 of the bespoke Jaff and balls. Actually, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3. 3. I've got 3. So you can be in the raffle for a Jaff and ball. These are... What do you want? Yeah. They're handmade by a charity in Africa that gives jobs to people making footballs and other things. And, if you'd have bought one when you were supposed to buy one, you would have been helping African people in need. But in all honesty,
now we're just giving it away for free.
Yeah, if it was me, I wouldn't want one purely because I'll have it, I'll have it in a room or something, and every time I look at it, I go, I should have probably bought one, shouldn't I?
Yeah. Every time you look at it, your guilt should be at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah. So premium balls, and sadly, there's no sponsorship this week, so that would have been a perfect link, but it's not. Quote of the week this week, Alec. He said, "I woke up from surgery earlier, feeling dire. Checked my phone and saw this had been uploaded. Did put a smile on my face. Thanks for everything you do, guys. Enjoyed my shitty ham, brackets not banana sandwich at a 60-40 ratio. More importantly, the reason I'm reading that out, Alec, is that I hope you're doing well. Surgery is scary."
That was the quote of the week. That was the best quote.
Because the guy's got up from surgery.
I've had 3 surgeries in my life. I've had 3.
Have you?
I've had 3. It could have been an ingrown toenail.
Yeah, good point, actually.
You don't know what it
Alec,
was.
I hope you're back to work. You better be back to work on the 5th of January. Let's talk Spurs. Let's dive into it because I tell you what, it's amazing what 24 hours can do.
24 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Honestly.
I was like, I could hear it in the commentator's voice as Tottenham took on Palace. They were like, is there any point in us being here for the first half of this football match? It's only going to get going in the second half anyway. Mess.
I think the first half was 50-50. There were decent chances for both, but the second half was a 10 out of 10 performance from Tottenham. But like we won a game of football, right? It's great. It feels good as a fan. You need those wins, but it's just a game of football won. But what was interesting inside the Spurs fraternity, specifically inside my brother's WhatsApp group, I've got 5 brothers, all Spurs, right?
Right.
And we're like, at half time, you're like, we're shit. Well, we're just, obviously, we're shit. Everything's shit. There's no even point watching the second half. Within 15 minutes, first one, brother went, we're back.
It's amazing, isn't it? do you know what? Can everyone just calm down? Because we got something going on here. 4-0. I couldn't believe it. I watched the first half and stupidly turned it. Well, not stupidly turned it off. There's other things to do. But I turned it off because I was just like, well, this is pretty dull. I'm going to leave it. Watch Atlanta instead. And then I couldn't believe that it was 4-0. It was mad.
Obviously we were prolific and we put away every decent chance we had. We had a couple more as well. It could have been more, but in terms of delivering on XG, then we over delivered, right? So
I saw that.
No one. It's very rare for you to get 4 XG. Like it's like so 2.
That's true.
2 point. I think we're at 1.
You've come a long way, Flav, haven't you? When was the moment where you went, XG's not a pile of nonsense?
I've always liked it. I don't think I've ever. I hate a lot of stats, and I think like people overplay stats. And a lot of people pretend to know a lot about football, but really rely heavily on statistics to understand the game. They're useful, but they're not as significant as everyone bangs on about.
Yeah,
and people make themselves look really intelligent. Oh, you must know football, when really they're just regurgitating the stats that they've read. But XG, XG, yeah, XG is good. XG is good. It makes sense. It makes complete sense. And anyone who really hates it needs to open their mind a little bit. Anyway, but yeah, it was superb. It was a great performance, and we needed it. But the funny thing, it was like before this game, everybody, you wouldn't have found a Spurs fan that didn't hate watching Spurs. Like I woke up on Wednesday morning and went, that's good. I'm middle of dry. Half a week into dry January. I feel good, not hungover. I feel energetic. Oh, fuck! Spurs are playing tonight. It was that mentality. And you saw some of the, there's a big hankering or a movement towards Enoch out and getting Daniel Levy out of the football club. It's growing. The groundswell is happening.
So why is that growing? Because that's what I want to get to.
Well, I'm interested.
The truth of all of this?
I can tell you, but I'm interested in what what do you think from a QPR's perspective?
I don't know enough about. Look, what are they moaning about with the?
Well,
what
do you? Well, am I asking you? What do you think that Daniel Levy? Do you think it's a good thing that Daniel Levy's at our club, or do you think we would be better off with another owner? Just from a complete, like an unbiased neutral perspective.
From a complete unbiased, not knowing any sort of skullduggery or conspiracy theories. I think he's a really good owner. I think he's a really good owner who's time again been ambitious in terms of the commercial element of the club. Ambitious in an understanding of how that needs to be done, which means by getting the best stadium in the world, needs to be ambitious in terms of the managers that you bring in. And he's done all those bits, and the next bit is spending money on the players, which he did a decent amount of in the summer. So I don't really know.
Enoch is Daniel Levy, effectively.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. He owns 30% of Enoch. The rest is owned by Joe Louis, who is old and lives in the Bahamas.
Right. So I don't. I mean, am I miles off there?
I think you're spot on, pretty much, more or less. I think there is there is definitely a gap between what Arsenal have done in the transfer market and what Tottenham have done. Since 2016, we've spent, I can't remember the figures exactly, but around 350 million euros in speculation. So that's in net spend, yeah?
Yeah.
Arsenal spent about 170 million euros more than that. And that most of that happened in the last three transfer windows.
Yeah.
And now you can see Arsenal top of the league. So I agree with you. And I think a lot of people, I'd be interested to know in the comments below what people think, whether or not they think, if they don't support Spurs, whether or not Daniel Levy is a good chairman. Forget like bias, club bias, just whether you think he's done a good job with Spurs and whether you think he can deliver trophies. And that in there is the problem.
Is it where sometimes, because like people have been talking about Everton and their board as well, and the mess that they have, and both positive or negative, you can focus or like kind of hang your hat on certain things. So I heard a guy talking about Spurs earlier in the week, and he was saying that the reason they're not happy with the board is that when they kind of get nearly there, and I think this was in the aftermath of, or right in the middle of Brentford beating Liverpool 3-1, but he was saying that we kind of get close and then we don't go and get that extra player that we need. Like in 20, the Pochettino era, we should have gone and done it.
Yeah.
So I guess one side of that is that, which is fair. And I remember everyone kind of saying that, but I guess the long-term point of view is that the stadium was happening and the money either truly wasn't there, or you would hope
we had to loan a lot of money. We had to loan a huge amount of money to build it. So it wasn't
there's like a 15, because the other side of it is Everton right now. So with Everton, the thing that they will go is, well, hang on, what about the stadium we're making? What about the stadium making? But the Everton fans are going. So sorry, the point I'm trying to make is that the stadium can be kind of used to kind of understand the lack of spending, or it can go paper over the cracks of it. With Everton, they spent loads of money and are getting the stadium done, but spent the money so badly that you can't just have, they're getting a stadium sorted out, they're good owners. That's not enough. You need to be offering a little bit of both. With Tottenham, I feel like they are.
Well, during that stadium, when we were building the stadium, we were in the Champions League, and if it wasn't that, we were close. We went on a Champions League final run.
Yeah.
During times where we weren't spending money. So the difference between us and Everton is that Everton have Lampard's manager and they look like they're going down, whereas Tottenham have always managed to compete. And if you remember, Arsenal had to do for many, many years when they had built the stadium, were paying it off. Similar sort of situation. But the fact is that people who are staunchly ENIC out don't really care about the stadium. I don't think, or maybe they do care about the stadium, but they want all the players as well. Yeah. And I don't think they think that Daniel Levy underspends, I think, and he needs to speculate a little bit more. And fundamentally, I think that they think that Daniel Levy's focus isn't really about winning trophies. It's merely about profit margins and making sure that the club is in a good place when it's been sold to maximize the amount of money getting out. Now, you can understand from their perspective why that's an issue, because we don't care about how much money ENIC make eventually when they sell Tottenham Hotspur. What we care about is potentially winning trophies. Now, if Daniel Levy isn't willing to speculate in the same way that Arsenal have over the last three transfer windows, then that is an issue, because there's a stalemate there, isn't there? There's let's finish fourth, that's enough. So I can understand what they're saying, but we don't know that is Daniel Levy's motive, because he hasn't had the time to spend the money that we have available, I think. So we have to give him the next two transfer windows. And if after that we spend, in the next two transfer windows, 100 million over both of them, net spend, then you might look, well, he's clearly not interested in us winning the league.
Right.
He's not interested in us competing. But you've got to give him those windows. Because
for sure.
the last two he's bought Basuma. We've we've had
everyone said you had an amazing window, didn't you?
Yeah, no, we did have. I think so, but there were Spurs fans even then saying we needed one or two more.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, we bought Bentancur, Kulusevski, Basuma, Perisic, Romero. We had to pay 50 million for this year. Richarlison, Longley. So that's 8. first players that are playing in our first team. That's not insignificant, and that's 130 million euros net spend.
Because that was the question I was going to ask you this week. So Arsenal have spent that money like what feels like smartly, and it feels even smarter when, of course, the results are coming, the performances are 100%. There. You can see the performances, you can see all that stuff, right? But the question I was going to ask you earlier, it was like, with the squad, I always think like QPR this week, right? We played Luton. We lost 3-0, and we weren't great, but the goals they scored a goal early on. We sort of didn't get. Then we started to get going. Then they got a sort of rubbish goal, and then they scored an absolute screamer in the second half. And we were sort of knocking at the door with a lack of confidence in the team in that game because of the game state a little bit. But I sort of walked away, and I was like, everyone's like, God, we're rubbish. And we were kind of rubbish, but we weren't a million miles away from.
But you could see.
Yeah, that game could have.
You could see.
We could have got lucky.
See how that fell away from you.
Exactly. And then we played Sheffield United.
That is a lot of football games. That is a lot of football games for a lot of teams.
And we went to Sheffield. We played Sheffield United on the Tuesday, and it was one where before it, I don't know if you've ever had this, where like everyone's like miserable about the club, but you just weirdly about 4 hours before kickoff, you just have this like, we're going to win tonight. I've decided. I feel it, because isn't that football that we would go and win tonight? And I messaged my dad and I said, we're winning tonight. I'll tell you, we're winning. And I sort of like, I was trying to and I was, when I go to QPR now, a few people go, oh, hi, like they say hello or whatever. And so I was sort of saying that same thing. Is he literally walked off? All right. We walked off.
We're turning the heat off. It's hot.
So I sort of, I was like, we're winning tonight. No, we're fine. And then I looked at the team, I was like, Christ, how are we winning tonight? But then we scored a goal from a bit of a deflection, and we started to play well. Sheffield United, who were second, have got a great squad, played really, really average. And my point, what it made me think about is the baseline. You're always like fluxing between being better than that or being worse than that. And if you can get a nice set of games, then results, then a lack of injuries, and a good manager that can get the best out of a team, then you can play. You can get an above baseline set of performances consistently. So the question I wanted to ask you with Spurs is, how good is the baseline, the 6 out of 10 level of performance for this Spurs squad or your starting 11? Because when I see Ben Davies, I don't want to or Matt Doherty, maybe it's just because they've got British names, but or Davinson Sanchez, I still think, and the game yesterday, I watched the highlights of Match of the Day, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, thank God we've got Harry Kane. Like, the game. So his baseline is so high, and everyone else's it's not that great.
No, you're right, and a lot of look, we're missing Bentancur, as you can see on the right.
Sorry, Matt Doherty is Irish. He's not British. I know that will rile a lot of Irish people.
Right, but look, there's a couple of things. Matt Doherty actually has come on leaps and bounds from when he first signed, where I thought he might be the worst footballer I've ever seen, along with Timothy Atuba. He's come on leaps and bounds under Conte, but we do need to upgrade a lot of people. If you look at a front that we've got, the baseline of our defense is low. It's probably mid-table. You could argue if Romero isn't playing, that we've probably got the weakest defense in top 10, maybe.
Interesting.
But we're missing. Yesterday, they're kind of looking at our first team. You're looking at going, if we get a put in, or if we get a win here, this is a really good result. Because at Højbjerg, you got Skip, who's barely played in a year. You've got Brian Hill, who is like his second Premier League game he's ever started. He technically very, very good, but so lightweight.
Is he one of those? I always think in the Christmas period there are players that get game time, and then you don't see them when it gets to like because there's just so many games that certain players and squad players or youngsters get an opportunity. Is that
Brian Hill is our backup to Kulusevski? And Kulusevski's got the muscle injury. But look, a Tottenham team with Bentancur and Kulusevski is much the baseline is much higher. You'd expect a lot more. But you're taking those two players who turned our season round when they signed for us last January. We were I think it was in 11th when they signed, or maybe 10th when they signed. Much worse a position than we are right now.
Yeah,
they signed and we finished 4th in Champions League places. We won 5 out of the last 6 games. They are difference makers. They are important to us in their respective positions as Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. And both of them haven't played. Bentancur got injured during the World Cup and has been out for a month. And Kulusevski's missed half the games at Spurs this season with little injuries. So the baseline is, I would say, around 6th, 5th. But if we overperform, we would finish in the top 4. I think it might be a little bit out of our reach now.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, get a couple of players fit. I think part of it in terms of finding the like we're saying about that baseline and then getting the best out of a team as well. It's like fucking sort yourselves out in the first half of games. That's like it's a mindset, isn't it? Like it's
I don't understand it. I've tried to understand it. We talked about it on the podcast for hours, and it just must be a tactic. Just to go out there, contain, and then let them use up energy. We saw it against Brentford where they really tired. I mean, they went 2-0 up, but they really tired because they were pressing and using the space that we were giving them. And they thought, this is an opportunity for us. And they took it. They went 2-0 up. But the second half, they really, really started to flag and Spurs looked really bright. Spurs have run only second to, I don't know who runs the furthest per game, but Spurs are second currently. So we know we have the energy to play through till 90 plus minutes. So that is in our locker. And if you are significantly fresher in the second half when teams concede typically, then I can understand it. But in order to do that, you need a defence that's able to withstand pressure from fresh players. And that isn't Ben Davies, isn't Dyer, isn't Longley really. We need world-class centre-backs essentially. If we get those world-class centre-backs, I'm not saying we can challenge for the league. I'm not saying that. But if we get them, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
What I would say, like if we've got Bastoni and Guardiola with Romero.
You're not saying
anyway,
it, are you? I'm not saying that's the problem.
I'm not saying it. I'm just saying if we get them, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But it's funny. One more thing before we finish on Spurs is it's funny what one result does. It really is.
It's mind blowing. It's
mental. Like we're going, I can't see where we're going to win another game this season, let alone 4-0. And anyway, afterwards we're going, do you know what, boys? I think we can do Arsenal.
Yeah. It's so
one result, and then you're like, we're going to beat the best team in the league, hands down.
You literally you win a game and you look up, don't you? You lose a game, you look down.
If we have Bentancur, look, the team that went out yesterday, Arsenal would beat us probably 8 times out of 10. If we have Bentancur and Kulusevski back, then it's probably 50-50. Probably that White Hart Lane is different. But what I would say is, if we do win. If we do, I'm just putting this out there, right? It's not, we're just talking ifs, buts and maybes, right?
Sure.
If we beat Arsenal and then we lose to Man City, which is the dream, right?
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
What's the gap? The gap's like, what's that? If they win their game against Chelsea, well, that's 39.
That's
42. That's 2 points.
So like
suddenly 2 points.
The league's
with the
gone
game
then,
in hand.
You think the league's gone?
Well, hang on. With their game in hand, City go above them. If they win all their games, look right now. If you told me if you could beat Arsenal and you lose to City at Main Road, at Etihad, and Manchester City win their game in hand, I think my maths is correct in saying that they will go above them by a point.
Right? This is what I'm fascinated to see how the next month or so goes, because there's always a moment every season. There's a tensing up, and there are certain people. If we look at if things true to form, right? So one of Fulham, Brighton, and Brentford will continue to go on a really good run, right? And then it will get to a point where we'll have a conversation around late February, maybe, of one of these guys could actually finish 6th. And at that point, when they start to get a little bit of like spotlight around them, they will plummet, and they will tense up because they'll be like, they're just sort of like, I don't know, it's like Alice in Wonderland. They're just like bouncing about, and then they go, oh, actually, I don't know what I'm talking about, but like there's the Holy Grail. I'm mixing up my things, but like so those things, and so Arsenal, it's still like, well, no, the title's miles away. Don't worry about it just yet. But at some stage, there will be a gentle tensing up.
There isn't an Arsenal fan out there, and there shouldn't be an Arsenal fan out there that doesn't think they're going to win the league right now. There shouldn't be.
I think that's not true.
What? It would be a ridiculous capitulation. It would be one of the biggest bottle jobs in the history of the Premier League.
What? If Look at them win the league
from this position. Yeah, it would be pathetic.
Those sweet gunners, I'd have to disagree. They've been sweet up to now, but
if they're that sweet, they should be winning the league. Oh no, you're right. You're right. They should be. They should be winning the league for me. If they don't, God, it's going to be embarrassing, really.
Yeah,
it's going to be tough for them on Twitter if they don't win the league from here.
Yeah, turn that off. Turn that off.
I've got to go. Look, full disclosure, I've got to go on. I've got to go. Actually, I'll save it. Get it. I'll tell you off here.
Okay. I'm intrigued to see if Newcastle tense up as well. Because the status quo would be Man City finish above Arsenal, Man United. I'm not saying I want this thing to happen. I'm just saying this is what generally happens. You have teams that have, like, let's talk Burnley back. You know, Burnley finished 7th, fine. Wolves, maybe last year, or maybe the year before, I think it was last year, like go on a decent run and then start to tense up when they can see the finish line a little bit. That will play on some of these guys' minds, I think. As will the opposition as well. The opposition will kind of turn up, but that's why it's going to be class. West Ham are struggling, aren't they? Anyway.
They go down.
Yeah?
West Ham and Everton.
Paqueta, Rice, Scamacca. If they start playing Scamacca properly, let him do his... Let him cook.
Last night.
But that's what he does. He scores those kind of goals all the time. Anyway, enough of this nonsense football chat, because we've got to talk about lots of other things. Let's make our way.
I just want to say, like Cameron Fraser, just before this is a nod to the mailbag we do with the Patreon, the premium content, and he was talking about. I wonder if we could revisit the conversation about premium unleaded, because I put it in my car. We can, but just not now. You got to go over Patreon to do that. Talk about premium unleaded premium content.
Oh, because I use it. Wow,
he uses it. Yeah.
So Cameron, on the mailbag, so part of the yays. We basically discussed the deep issue. So end of football chat, guys. If you don't really like the rest of the podcast, now's the time to leave.
Yeah, if you like football, then now's the time to leave.
Now's the time to leave. Apologies. Yeah, on this week's mailbag, we were talking about the issue of premium unleaded petrol, and the fact that I've never used it, and I don't know anyone who has, and I don't understand why it's there. But I have a bit of a theory, actually, that they were filled up as a bit of a, some sort of trend guff thing, and then no one's ever used it, so they're all just still there in all the petrol stations. But Cameron says he's used it.
It's the same. Yeah, he says it would be interesting to see what he says. But I think.
Sorry, just with that, Cameron, just put it in the comments of the mailbag when we ask for questions on Patreon next week.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same petrol. They just fill it all up with the same stuff and just put premium on one, and some idiot fills it up.
Or put a different scent in it or something. Make it smell loads like petrol, because everyone loves that smell, right? Just me? Okay, here we go. Jim Big Laugh Award. Jonathan Smith said this. Surely at this point, gents, there needs to be a live pod at Fleet Services for a meetup. Everyone half miles for it, and a cheeky nosh bosh. Do you know if we... the reason this made me laugh was...
I get a picture from Fleet Services, I'd say twice a week.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I get it more often. I think because I've taken pictures myself at Fleet Services. People are more inclined to send them to me than usual.
Right. It's a premium pit stop. Yeah, that's Flav thinking about any other services apart from Fleet Services. What made me laugh was the thought of imagine if we did a live pod at Fleet Services, and then they'll be like, and that's the end of the pod, and there'll be like a
everyone just goes.
Yeah, but no, I don't. But I don't think it'd be like that. I think it'd be like, because obviously we're going down this road for so long with this joke. There will be like a rippling of applause, and then just a horrible, awkward silence of like.
So who's going to go first?
Yeah. So
it's like
is it noshing off a joke, or is that a real thing?
Well, it's like if you're an orgy.
Are we? One of our guys are actually up for it. So we gonna.
No, James, it's like I don't know if you've ever been to an orgy before, but you don't want to be the first bloke with his trousers around his ankles.
Yeah.
Someone else to go first.
What is orgy etiquette? Is there orgy etiquette? Is there like how does it work? Who kicks it off? Is it the host?
I don't know. I do know people.
I feel like you do know.
No. Well, I've never been to one.
There was a blink. There was a blink of like it was either I know and I don't want to say, or I just don't want to say. Come on.
No, there isn't. There's no stories, but I do know.
Yeah, power. James Warner says power move. Go first. Right.
Yeah, I do know of someone who has been to one in Finchley, and my
sister works, and my wife used to work in Finchley, which is concerning.
Yeah, but you get in based on your looks, right? So you have to be vetted before you go in.
Oh, right.
So
not too good looking.
Like the opposite. The opposite. You have to have
6 out of 10.
Yeah, and whether you're bringing a partner or whether you're on your own, and they have a quota for the amount of men they're allowing, that sort of stuff. And
good.
When he arrived, with a girl, it was already in full swing.
Right.
There were rooms. There was a dark room. There were other rooms.
Yeah. Oh, if there's different rooms, maybe there's a sort of a bit of an organisation beforehand where they kind of go right, guys. If you go over to the infrared room and you guys kick off in the other room, just to help get it, get the juice.
There were some rooms that just those neon kitchen lights.
Yeah.
They were depressing. Those rooms were depressing.
I watched a documentary on Channel 4 about it, and it's so funny because there was a couple that the woman had really pushed it. She was the one who really.
And the husband weren't. I've seen it.
Right, and
the husband's like looking at him,
and no one really wanted to get involved with them, and they were just sort of sat there, and they were like really upset and like sulking, whilst everyone else, whilst in like leather chaps or whatever it bloody was that they're wearing. Oh,
there was one I saw in Las Vegas of this woman who looks a bit like my nan, who had like a curly perm and really big glasses. She was well into it, bang into it. Turns up in all her like leathers and stuff, and her husband just weren't. And you could see in his eyes he just hated it all.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Just wanted to go home and cuddle. So yeah, that made me laugh. Conor McLean, on the topic of weird names for your private parts, a friend of mine told a story about how a policeman. So this was last week's podcast or a couple of weeks ago. Go back and watch it. If you've missed some of these bits, I was saying that as a child, we used to call vagina a mini moo. Anyway, he says, on topic of weird names for your private parts, a friend of mine told me a story about how a policeman came to his class in primary school to give kids the talk about what to call their parts. Is that necessary? Need to get the police in for it so they can report it properly if they get assaulted. What? So, because surely if the teacher goes, call it, if something were to happen, guys, just to be clear, just make sure you call it the actual names of it. And they're going, who are you to tell me what words to use? I want to hear it from a policeman, please. So they brought someone in.
Someone with authority.
Yeah. The policeman got the boys of the class to all say what the word they and their family use for penises. Apparently one guy said snorkel. The idea of a little kid's dad going, yeah, that's your snorkel, mate, has been living in my friend's head rent-free. That made me laugh. And Tom Toogood, we need the football chat indicator back. This is getting ridiculous. I just found this is getting ridiculous. It's a football podcast. Anyway. And sorry, Loki Doki, who's a FM YouTuber, bloody good lad. We were talking about Harry Styles. I was saying Harry Styles is my kind of guy. It's the kind of guy I just like.
Who you
like to be?
Not necessarily.
You want
to be with, like lay down with and cuddle.
And you play that part if necessary. Loki said, Henry Cavill for me. We share the same interests, and he looks like a good cuddler. And after, we can play some Warhammer 40k.
I haven't heard of Warhammer 40k since I was about 8 years old. I used to love it.
Yeah,
never could figure out how to play it.
Go check out Loki Doki's channel, and because obviously I know what Loki Doki looks like, so I could then imagine him with Henry Cavill having a lovely cuddle, which made me laugh. Oh, right, Samisms. So Samisms high up in the running order. That's how good this week's podcast is.
I'm surprised about how many people still send in Samisms, like all the time.
Yeah.
Like this is something that's been going on for close to 5 years now, maybe 6 years.
Yeah. And it's crazy. But and we now have, I'm proud to say, a lot, because there are Samisms, but there's nothing more pure than a Samism from Sam. And Sam got in touch.
Was it Sam?
It is.
This is where it came from. This is the what would you call it? The founding father of Samisms. This is someone that when we was in the Ball Street office many moons ago,
which named after him. His name's Sam, isn't it?
His name's Sam Peoples. We would have a list on the wall.
Sorry, hang on. Sorry, this whole time, Flav, have you been thinking I just made up a name for this thing? His name's Sam. That's why it's called a Sam.
I'm just saying. I know, but you're saying this so far from when we first thought about it that people won't know that this is the Sam and what it was about.
So yeah,
play the clip.
Hang on, what did he say? He basically said that he'd done one. Okay, actually, I want to find it quickly. Here we go. Where is it? Sam said it. I can't find it. Down. Where is it? Oh, okay. Oh no, that's the actual name of it. But it basically said, I've done a particularly good Samism on the pod I've just recorded. I replied, please send me the clip. He did send me the clip. It wasn't worth me searching. But here is the clip. So I haven't heard it myself. See if you can hear the Samism. Can't wait. Here we go.
Are you sure it's a clip?
It's a clip. It's fine. 17 seconds. Here we go.
Good.
Enjoy.
Mate, I've been saying that, man. United need to go out there and test the waters just in case they bite at the idea of taking him off their books for like 6 months to help balance their own sheets. Not balance their sheets. balance their sheets. Fucking hell.
Balance the sheets. God bless. Not his best one, you know. I will say that. For some of you, that might have felt like an anticlimax. But when you hear his voice doing it, it's just delicious. Absolutely.
I love him. He's on TikTok at the moment. So I'm sure you'll be able to find him there.
What his
Samisms on there as well.
Good, because it's
bound to do something. He does so many he doesn't even realise.
Yeah. The best one is always the Friday one. When we did the live stream, I say, all right, guys, have a great weekend, blah blah. Anyway, that's it. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Have a great Friday. Good feelings all around.
I never understood why Sam had to finish it as well. Happy feelings. Which, to be fair, describing a Friday, that's pretty accurate. There are happy feelings all around.
Yeah,
I thought it was lovely. But when do you remember? I think I was sitting there with you, and when he said it, that clip. If anyone go and find that on the 10 o'clock, it was on a Friday, obviously. 10 o'clock. What was it called? The 10 o'clock news.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a breakfast show we used to do on Ball Street.
The wall, weren't we? Just try.
Yeah, but it's still all right.
Try. Okay. So Fergus Powell's got Samism as well. Great Samism heard the other week on a Teams call with a couple of my colleagues and our manager at work. My manager said that too many spoons spoil the broth. Too many spoons spoil the broth. Of course, we knew he meant too many cooks spoil the broth. I imagine too many spoons do spoil the broth.
If they're all sticking their spoons in, then
yeah, good point.
It works.
Top comments. Gee, I wanted to get your reaction to this. Don't read it. Don't look at it. Mac and Cheese Gaming said, Flav is such a wet wipe whenever Arsenal are doing well. I love it. It means I don't have to buy salted butter for my morning crumpet. I can just use my regular butter and some of Flav's delicious, divine, salty tears. Yummy.
I'm here for it. I like
See,
it.
I knew you'd react like that. I knew you'd say it because there was a comment underneath from Ed who said, grow up. And I was thinking, no, that is not how Flav would react to that guy.
That's not the attitude. Look, it's not. I wouldn't say I'm a wet wipe, but I will find ways to somewhat. You can't expect me, Mac and Cheese, to say, "Oh yeah, well done." You don't want that from me, surely, and I don't want that from you if we're doing well. This is what it's about.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? Like, if you enjoy it. Then fair play, but I don't think you do. I don't actually think you do. Like, if Spurs fans are finding a way to lessen what you're doing instead of just saying, which is the fact, Arsenal have been incredible this season. You can't deny it; they have. But if I put my Spurs hat back on, I'll actually say, you lot are going to bottle the title this year.
Well, so you see, this is the thing. We've turned the corner. We're in the new year, and what we see in the distance, as much as you kind of obviously don't want Arsenal doing well, when you're seeing them doing as well as they are, does it make you get excited about the fact that if they don't win it, and that day, when that day happens, when the confirmation is there, how juicy that will be for you? You must be excited. Got to be excited.
Honestly, I won't say a word. Look, if
that is the biggest lie you've ever said, ever.
Well, I mean, on here I will. We'll talk about it, but I'm not going to go on Twitter.
You'll be all over it.
No, I won't. I promise. And that's not me giving them respect or saying, or not wanting them. I'm done with it. Once they're not won the league, forget it. I don't give a shit. And the thing is, what's great about this position and difficult for Arsenal or anybody going for the league, Liverpool, when they were going for it, is it's easy for me to go, oh, what if you bottle it? It's so easy just for me to say it. And it's much more difficult for Arsenal to continue to go on to win the league. And if they do, so what? I just said that 4 months ago. Arsenal are in a situation which all fans want to be in. All fans want to be in this position. You have to be in a title race if you can be in it.
Yeah,
but going through it is fucking agony.
That is it. That's we were talking about that earlier in the week, weren't we? It's so horrible. It's so horrible being in the lead. A lot of things like we QPR like we were beating Sheffield United in the week. Every time I get the ball, I'm just like, this is almost like it's not enjoyable, but it could be so enjoyable if we could just get over there, over on that, past that line over there. And that's the great thing about competition, isn't it? It can be like that. It's almost like, we spoke about it with like Liverpool, I say last year, like they were in the running for all these things, and then what did they? They only got but they got the FA Cup and the League Cup, right? It wasn't really the ones that they won, and then all of a sudden you're a bit disappointed, and it's a bit like it's crazy.
But what? Just like go back. It's like that's what this is about. It's what rivalry is about. It's about saltiness and trying to get one over. That's what it's about. It's the lifeblood. And I appreciate the comment. I do.
Okay. I just want to get your opinion on this. I thought it'd be interesting. I'm researched this properly, because I honestly can't handle it. Some things are like, oh, that's a bit cringe, and I can kind of watch it and it's almost funny. There are some things that are so cringe that I'm like, get it away from me. And for me, this is it. So Joe A says, I would love to get Flav's reaction to the craze of cringe TikTok football chants. The Darwin Nunes, the Jack Grealish come to mind. I honestly can't.
I know.
It goes through me like nothing. Nothing's gone through me before.
When he says craze, this is just something that explodes on TikTok because it is so cringeworthy, isn't it? Is he saying that this is a craze that's actually filtering into football culture? Because I don't know. I know that I saw some videos of kids like young blokes singing the Jack Grealish chant as a joke, but it's not being sung in football stadiums, is it?
See, this is the weird thing.
If it is, talking about then you're a cretin,
right? Because we were talking about this with England, and there was one that was like, I think it was like "The Bells Are Ringing Out" is that song, but it was like a good song, and it was like, okay, I quite liked it. I was happy for that to sort of, because there's not enough England songs. I mean, it's like as we said, I think it's a bit of a problem because the more songs you got, the more, people don't get bored. You're not just you're singing one thing. But I think the problem, it's too posh. It's too sort of choir boy-y. Like
what?
The
specific chant.
I'm thinking of like there's the Liverpool guy. I can't.
I know. I can visualize him, but I don't know.
Yeah. So if he, like the guy who's basically got a career off Liverpool, singing Liverpool songs in a Liverpool accent with the guitar, and he's talented and all that stuff. Like, obviously you can get it because it all like fits, and the Liverpool fans are like, yeah, this makes sense. Whereas like this guy just doesn't sound or feel right, if that's fair to say.
Yeah, but these things are if they blow up on TikTok, it's not loads of Liverpool fans that hitting like, is it, or sharing it?
Yeah,
it's fans of other clubs laughing at them.
That's the problem with so much stuff now, isn't it? Like, it's not the power behind it and the exposure behind it. Like previously, you had your fans in your people, your bubble, because you couldn't get things out as much, and the groundswell would be from people with the right intentions. Whereas now something gets bigger if it's the worse something is, sometimes the better it'll do. Like,
yeah,
and that's what this is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's just nonsense.
Okay, right, here we go into the really weird stuff now. So I once met. I'll allow this comment, but I'm not sure if I want to go down this road too much. But we'll see. Nathan S. He says, I once met. During my time at uni, I was struggling for money, so I decided to put myself on adult works as an escort. I got plenty. Nathan, yeah. I got plenty of women asking for services. The odd in the closet bloke too. Brackets. I was never that desperate. I mean, okay. I'm guessing you're straight, man. One day I answered the phone to an Irish man. He had a lovely smooth lilt to his accent, so it swayed me. Fast forward 2 hours, and I was tossing off Roy Keane in the back of his Jag in a McDonald's car park on the A3, whilst he whispered, "That's your job," in my ear.
That's your job.
That's
your job. As he came to orgasm. That's your job.
Roy Keane is so desperate not to give anyone credit, even when he's getting the sexual favour from an escort.
No. That's your job.
That's what I'm paid to do.
Nathan, it's your job. It's your job, Nathan. Take the money, Nathan.
Like I said, a lot of weird stuff. Okay, I'm going to go sledging before only men know and the kid thing, because it's mad. Right, so elite sledging. Get your elite sledging in. It can be in any format, any sport. Nitish said this. I can imagine James being an absolute nightmare at silly points, short leg. I'd probably lose my head and try to smack at him and end up losing my wicket. I'd maybe win the battle, but he'd always win the war. Thank you, Nitish. Thank you. I could be so annoying.
This is about James's sledging when he played cricket. This is what we were talking about last.
So I was specifically moved up a team to go and play short leg.
Just for your sledging.
Just to chirp.
Did you never get confronted, James, or someone tried to hit you or anything like that?
No, it's not cricket. It's kind of part of it all. And I never went. It was never too ugly. It was just irritating. It was just annoying. Yeah. Cameron. The cricket chat takes me back to some of the brutal sledges from my time playing in the slips as a teenager. My favourite was turning to the keeper as a new batsman walks in and saying, "Oh, I feel bad for this guy. I overheard his dad saying earlier that he fucking hates coming to watch him play." The key was to say it loud enough so he hears, but soft enough so that he thinks it's a genuine conversation with the keeper and not a sledge.
Cameron's walking through the car park and just sees his dad going, "I fucking hate you. I'm here watching my kid play," and he's banked it.
Jack Ungera, got to keep the cricket chat going. Reminded me of many days spent at short leg. He used to say things like this: "What's your leg workout? You're filling out those whites nicely." Or, "This bloke's got more blocks than a Lego set." Or, "More leaves than a tree." Average chat is always more unsettling for some reason. So yeah, get your cricket chat in. Okay, really weird stuff now. So things only men know. So I've got a new one, which is a picture. Which is, I don't know if you've seen this. but there was a lot of testicle chat. So we'll get into that in a second. But basically, it's things that only lads will get. This got said to be from Reese, which was good. I thought. Let me show you it.
Yeah,
completely
get it.
That's about it.
They're playing penalties on FIFA, isn't it?
Yeah, so good.
I haven't done anything like that since I was about 12.
So long, yeah.
That's unreal. It's one of them ones generally. It was like,
yeah,
or like that.
I was. What are you doing?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Do you remember those V-neck tops as well? By the way,
they were horrendous.
Yeah, so
I never rocked one of them.
I think not that bad, not that severe. Okay. Lou GK. Things only men do. You get home after a long day of graft, finally getting within distance to sit down on the sofa, and the missus, annoyingly from the other room, calls your name for some help. This is always greeted by a silent sigh and an eye roll and a tilting of your head back. This is so good. This bit is absolutely brilliant. And if you're too young to understand this, just enjoy your youth. Pondering for 5 seconds before snapping back into pretending to be happy to help.
This is
a reply with a short "Yep." As you reluctantly get off the sofa. The missus is none the wiser. It's so good that. Or you've just sat down and then it's Yep.
I've got to say, I'm so lucky. So lucky. My missus very, very rare. The only time she calls me to do anything is because she's only 5'3". So it's just to find something off a shelf, which is, it's fine. Yeah. She doesn't trust me to washing up, cleaning, nothing.
Doesn't trust you. That's funny.
Which is fine.
So good.
I'm fine with that.
Harley, things only men know. If there's a skid mark left on the toilet, instead of cleaning it up, you can use your piss to get rid of it. It's called power pissing.
See, I see that as part of my job.
Yeah, one of my chores.
It's my job to do that. One of my chores. When I need a wee, I'll sort that out.
I just love that at the end. It's called power pissing. If you go to certain fancy hotels, and if you've not experienced this, hopefully one day you will. And when you do, think of me. There's one I think it's in Hoxton. There's certain places they'll have, instead of like toilet, like smelly things or whatever, in the urinal, they'll just have ice cubes.
Urinal. I've seen that before.
And it's great. And you're just like, how many can I melt?
Well, this is the thing: is how often they putting fucking ice in there? Yeah. To what end? What's the point?
Well, I mean, they should be keeping an eye on the toilets regularly. Have the little sheet, don't they? Fill in the sheet, don't they?
Yeah, but
that's such a lie, isn't it? They're just like, fill it in, change some of the dates and the times, and we don't have to do it for the rest of the day. Surely.
You reckon if you're on minimum wage, going in and checking under the toilet seat and making sure it smells all right? Fuck that. Sign it. Get the fuck out.
Let me just. Well, hang on. You haven't signed it. Oh yeah, sorry. I'll be back in an hour. Harry Grimes, sorry. Things only men know. The big man / boss man power move. I was in a shop with my girlfriend, and the guy said, "Have a nice day, champ." I'm not ashamed to say I was champ. I was not ashamed to say I was rattled, but she didn't seem to understand what I was upset about. To her, it was a term of endearment. Endearment? I just went Irish there. To me, it was a verbal cock-off, and I was left hanging in inches.
Because what do? You go back and make it look weird. He's done the move. He said the word. You got to take it. Yeah. I've had a similar situation before where it like calling each other son in my social groups previously was a term of endearment. Son, right, son, how you doing, son? Or calling someone sunshine as well was also a term of endearment. Right. If people don't know, it's one of the most patronising things you can say. I remember having a conversation with someone I hadn't met over. I think it was like MSN Messenger back in the day. And I was like, all right, son, nice one, mate. And he went, cheers, son. And I was like, oh, shit. I've upset him now.
Yeah, hey, don't get upset, champ.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the different ways to scratch your testicles, essentially. And And
pinch and roll is a standard.
Yeah, there was the pinch and roll and the backwards rake, and we were like, "Can someone explain the backwards rake?" And Graymore has done that. The backwards rake is where, if you're not into testicle chat, now's the time to switch off. By the way, the backwards rake is where you take.
What do you think there? Well, men's problems, Samisms, and fucking sledging chat. And now this is the line.
Yeah,
this is actually no. You know what?
I'm out.
Too far from football. I'm out.
Yeah, strike 3. I'm gone. The backwards
you
rake.
Fucking idiots.
The backwards rake is where you take the back of your fingers and scratch them down your balls in a backward motion. It's not as good as the pinch and roll, in my opinion, but it has its merits. Right. Freddie.
I can see it.
Not everyone felt the same. Freddie, as a backwards raker. Freddie, could you please change your Twitter bio to backwards raker, please? I couldn't imagine a more painful way than pinch and roll. You're in charge of the pinch. You know, it's not like you're not getting someone to pinch and roll for you. You know, it's more about the sort of surface area of the pinch more than the intensity of the pinch.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're not trying to hurt yourself. It's just
little purple bruises all around balls. Jay Cartwright went, I hold balls and peace at the same time. Shout out to my small kings.
Wonderful.
Max Morris says there's a third method to massaging your undercarriage: the stretch and scratch. A vintage method, but somewhat underrated in the ball massaging community.
I don't
stretch and scratch.
I've never done that.
I've
never done that.
How you?
I think
pull out.
I think you're grabbing like the loose bit of skin between the two balls and then pulling that out as far as it would go, maybe a couple of centimeters, and then using the taut skin to scratch it. Kind of like when you got Harry Kane to stretch that England shirt, and sign it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, like a yeah, I get what you're saying. And then sort of, I guess that's a sort of a bit of a backwards rake, like a mini backwards rake. Amazing. Only thing. No. Okay, this is. Oh, is this one? Hang on.
Just man things.
I feel like there's something I'm missing here that's important. No. Okay. All right, I'll just keep going. Just man things. Yeah, UCNTZ. I'm currently in Sweden celebrating Christmas and New Year's with my girlfriend. Side note: Swedish food is awful. Last weekend we went.
Name me one Swedish cuisine quickly. Anything? Any Swedish food? Meatballs.
Yeah.
But everyone has meatballs.
Yeah, you're just thinking IKEA, weren't they? Well, they sell it at IKEA.
Exactly. There's 99p hot dogs. 99p hot dogs.
Yeah. Last weekend we went to a club. This is things men know. With her and some friends who were visiting from Brighton. The missus and I were dancing when I saw a bloke come up behind her. We made eye contact. I shook my head no once.
No.
I love it. You can see it. Like everywhere, wherever you are. Like you could do everyone could do the. So no. I shook my head no once to show that she was taken and kept my head in the direction of my girlfriend's single friends who were looking to hook up, then gesturing with my eyebrows that they might be game.
So it's this. It's this, isn't it? It's this. and then the other geezer was like,
just a nod in it. It's so good. He wasn't their type, but he was very friendly and apparently plays for Bordeaux, but he was on loan to a third division French team, something beginning with A. He gave me his Instagram, but he hasn't accepted my follow yet. I did end the conversation with, I'll sign you on Football Manager. Yeah, didn't need that end bit, but I enjoyed reading it. It was a power move in a way. True. Okay. Right. Oh, this is it. Things you did as a kid. This is unbelievable. And what I've noticed here, in terms of things you've done as a kid, is it seems to be that people just are exclusively eating weird shit. Like all the comments are just.
How did we come to this part, Jim?
Someone wrote a comment. Forgive me, I can't remember your name now, but he said, "Let's do a thing of things that you're embarrassed of that you did as a kid. I'll go first. I ate coins.
That's right, yeah.
So I think it's put that in people's minds, right? But this is unbelievable, the amount of stuff that people are eating. Now, I'm going to start off with this one because there's, unless I'm mistaken, it's a good comment, right? Sorry, everyone's ill. But there's a typo on the most important word of the whole thing. So just for my own, just to get this understood. So I'm going to read it out. I just need this sorted.
Just seeing in the comments, just very quickly. Cameron Fraser went, I used to chew the end of my bunk bed.
Mate, don't worry about it, because there's some mad stuff.
Go on.
I'll get to it, because there's a lot of comments to read. Catherine is in the chat here. Catherine used to eat tissues. And in fact, she goes, not used ones, fresh ones. Okay.
I would be in the bathtub and I used to suck the bath water through flannels.
Okay, it's not too bad.
It was soapy, lovely, dirty bath water.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, right. So what is the word? It's literally the one typo in the whole thing. It's so annoying. I think, unless it's something I'm not aware of. John H, talking about stupid stuff you used to do as a kid at work, and we were talking about all the normal stuff. So things like not stepping on the cracks. Do you remember this? Between paving slabs. Do you remember so I don't know if people had this. In England, you'd have three drains, 3 squares, and there's 2 rules.
You couldn't walk over them.
Well, you couldn't walk. So the rule at my school was you couldn't walk over the middle one. You couldn't walk on the middle one, and you needed to spit on the middle one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for good luck. Okay, so things like cracks between pavement slabs and getting excited about going into an automatic car wash. Trying to get into the spirit of it, as I'm pretty new at the job, I gleefully asked, remember when as a kid we used to arrogant food? The word, I don't know what the word arrogant is. We used to arrogant food.
Don't know.
I'm going to show people this. We used to arrogant food. Dead silence and worried looks. For some reason, I tried to double down, desperately tried to rescue my already ruined workplace reputation. You know, the gelatine-based ones they used to use at school. A colleague breaks the silence with a concerned, no. Is it not poisonous? This is how I found out I had been ever so slightly poisoning myself once a week. Brackets, when the caretaker would lay new plant food.
I think it's auto-corrected, right?
For 3 years as a small child, around 4 to 7 years old. I'm pretty healthy now, so I can't have caused any permanent damage. I reckon this must be the reason why I'm the tallest in the family. What's arrogant food? Is it plant food?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, John, can you just please...
Let us know, John.
Answer this for me. Okay. But there's all sorts of weird stuff. So, Lewis Bryan, things we did as a kid. When it was icy...
Disgusting.
Huh?
Eat plant food. If you put eat plant food, mate, you might have. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Might be plant food. When it was icy, they used to put grit salt on the playground floor. I used to eat the salt in private under my climbing frame.
In private, no one can see.
Would you, Louis? Would you walk past? You know, like the yellow little bin things with all the grit salt. Sometimes you see it open. Louis was just sort of salivating. Oh.
Yes.
I will say something weird I eat now. I don't know if I've told you this. The kids' formula, the powder. It's like eating like a powdered custard cream. It's so good.
I used to work at Mothercare, and if I was hungry, I'd go into the stock cupboard and I'd get the baby food spaghetti bolognese. Just eat that. It was the dream.
Good. Yeah, good.
Yeah, it was well good.
Didn't need salt. Did you step out onto the street and get some from the grit salt thing? Dale, I used to eat Bonio dog biscuits as a child. I'm not embarrassed about it though, because I still think they would taste nice. Well, let's see. Do a video on it, Dale, please. Bonio.
Do a video eating a Bonio.
Daniel Burgess, things I used to eat. Ants. Dishwasher detergent.
just the word. It's on its own. Ants.
Dishwasher detergent, the powder, possibly lasting damage. The little packets of silica gel that specifically say do not eat.
Says you, because I was always used to think, who the fuck's going to eat that?
Yeah, why does that need to be? Yeah, why does that always need to be marked?
obviously it's
you've bought shoes. Oh, it's come with this. It's come with a little chocolate. Yeah. Anyway, not that bad as far as I can remember. Right. Okay. What did it taste like? Because it is weird, isn't it? The fact that it says "do not eat" almost makes you like it wouldn't have been something I would have thought of to eat. Like this. I don't know. Anything like a pen. If a pen says "do not eat" on it, now all of a sudden I want to eat it.
It's one of them.
Alfeet 25. Things we did as a kid. Me and a friend once ate different coloured pencils to see which each one tasted like. I had purple. Just munching on a pencil.
You know.
Josh Shepherd. I used to eat snails.
You used to eat snails?
We had a garden path. We had a garden path, and that became a mecca for snails after some rain. Like
most garden paths?
Yeah. I don't remember the flavour. I was about 3 or 4 years old, but I do remember the crunch and dusty shell bits that I would have to spit out.
Oh my God.
I don't know if this makes me a warrior slug general for defeating our nemesis at such a tender age, or a borderline cannibal. Please advise. Well, people do eat snails, don't they, in France? But I've had snails, and they taste like of garlic earthy, and they still don't taste right for me. So just crunching on the shell. Imagine the parents just catching them. They're like,
"You're a fucking wrong 'un, Josh. Even as a 3-year-old, you're not forgiven."
1-week ban?
I think he's out, mate.
Oh, he's gone. Wow. Joe Kawardine. Weird things we did as a kid. I used to eat Sudocrem straight out of the tub. This went on for years until my brother caught me. Still get rid of it. How old were you? What were you, like 25? Just like,
what's what I'm saying? For a kid to understand the space of years, you must have been quite old. I'm saying 12. I think 12 was his oldest period of eating Sudocrem.
My main question is, was this a separate, fresh, just tub that you're eating, or were you also using this on, like, your balls and your arse or whatever? Just double dipping.
Right.
Grim. Right. We finish off with another wonderful Slugs in the Wild. I'm just going to do one of these. We'll do the next one next week. Because this is a lovely little story. Okay. Mr. Ridgecut. Okay, hang on. Need a bit bigger. I have a Slugs in the Wild encounter through mutual friends. So through mutual friends, I met this girl living in Leeds. We would all talk to each other through FaceTime, with a lot of us living far apart. After a while, I could tell we had a slight connection, but I never brought anything up, as I didn't want to put us in an awkward position with our friends, and I couldn't be sure exactly how she felt. She was a massive Man United fan, with us constantly talking about everything going on in the world of football. Nothing happened for a couple of months until she suggested coming to visit us in Essex. With me and her being quite close, we decided to meet up, just the two of us. You could tell we were both quite nervous, this being the first time we had met, but we quickly became comfortable talking about football. During our conversations discussing the state of the league, she said, "I hope someone stops those sweet, sweet Gunners."
No chance. Go on.
I was certain she was referencing the pod, but I had to ask, "Do you watch the James and Flav pod?" Without even answering, she offered me a nosh. No, she didn't. She didn't. I'm making up. Without even answering, I knew from her expression she watched each week. It was Slugs at first sight. Ah. Since then, we talk about the podcast all the time, and I'm going to be visiting her soon. Things are going great between us, and we've established this is definitely a more than a friendship thing. But definitely that first meeting and us having the podcast in common helped break down that initial barrier. Never thought I'd see the day that a connection with a girl was grown through the podcast. Thanks, guys. Oh.
If in some weird world you get married in the future, me and James are coming.
Must go, yes.
100%.
Yeah.
We've got to sort this live show out, Jim. We've got to sort this live show out.
I know. But just,
why is
do you know what we
why
need?
is it
We
so
need.
difficult?
The problem
Why is it
is
so
Flav,
difficult?
I know. Do you know what it is? I think I've figured it out. We're talent. We need someone to do it for us, and we just rock up. That's it, isn't it?
But I've done this before.
You've done live shows, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I hate them.
Do you know what it is? I hate organising the stuff, and so I try and sort of palm it off to you, and then you don't get it done.
No, I understand. I don't know. It's having a venue. It's I can't ever think about it. I've got to call the bloke, the Tottenham Fighting Cock Socials guy, and we'll see if we can do it from there. Anyway,
right. Yeah, we'll save the Slugs in the Wild. This other one is very good for next week. Okay, guys, if you want to become a patron and enjoy some premium Jeff and content, link is in the description. We'll do the raffle for those balls. Have an amazing weekend. Get all your comments in. Lots of funny ones. That was an absolute belter. So
QPR in the FA Cup?
Fleetwood. So we'll probably lose that because it's the third round of the cup. That's how it works. Okay, right. Lots of love. Thank you. Goodbye.
Cheers, everyone. Take care.
Shut up.